Hey guys, it's Rasma here, coming at you with another deck profile. This time we are going over the blue hybrid list I played at a Pro Play Games Regional, where I ended up taking second place, going 4-1. My only loss was to the player who won the tournament. He went undefeated. So overall, I did pretty well. I'm very impressed with the way my blue hybrid deck performed. So without further ado, let's just get into it, and I'll just explain some of the matchups and some of my card choices. So let's just get started. So first we're going off with the Digitama, 2 Upamon, 2 Kyuremon, and 1 Wanyamon. So Upamon and Kyuremon just gives you those free draws from stripping sources or attacking when your opponent has no Digivolution source on a Digimon. And Wanyamon gives your Digimon 2000 DP if your opponent has 2 or more cards with no Digivolution sources. So Wanyamon is interesting because your opponent in this format usually has something like a Pokemon or a level 3 that they're just sitting on the board that is never going to have Digivolution sources. So if you strip the source off of at least one of their Digimon, you can very easily make your level 4s 8000 DP, which is quite a big threat, especially in this format where you can just start running over your opponent's level 4s and start gaining that board advantage, which this deck really wants to do. So that's it for the Digitama. Next, we're going to go into level 3s. I am playing 4 of the BT4 Strabimon. This is the best Strabimon purely because it has the potential of adding 2 cards from your deck, a hybrid and a tamer. It doesn't have to be a tamer with an inherited effect. It doesn't have to be any kind of particular tamer. You just reveal the top 3, add a hybrid and a tamer, which we're playing a ton of. So this card is just always great to just play, and it's level 3 that you can Digivolve off of. But usually you just want to end up playing it, and it's a hybrid as well. So it does kick off the effects of your level 4s. So great card all around. Definitely a 4 of the best Strabimon of all of them. Next is the 3 of the BT7 Strabimon. This Strabimon is good, but it's not as good as the BT4 Strabimon. It can only add 1 card, even though it reveals the top 4, and it can't add any tamer. It can only add a Koji. So really, you're just going to be grabbing the hybrid off of this. And then on deletion, you can play a Koji from your hand, which does come up. We are playing Koji in this deck, but you don't want to really max up on it because it's not as good, and you want the other level 3 spots to just go to some other things, which we'll go over. Then we're playing 2 of the BT6 Strabimon. This Strabimon is fairly good. You always really want to Digivolve him off of the Digitama, get that free draw, and then put a hybrid on top of him and just start swinging to get that free memory gain. So just a great level 3, just to get you that card advantage and always have something in the raising area. Only 2 because he's not as good as the other Strabimons. Then we are playing 3 Pokemon. Pokemon is just a great card. It searches top 5, a hybrid, 10 warriors, and tamer. All around great card, and it gives you that great memory gain effect. So really just amazing card. Only 3. I don't want to see it too much because it's not something I can Digivolve on top of. It's just something I want to sit on the field. So just 3 of him. And then we are actually playing the Nemon in this deck. Now Nemon, I think Blue Hybrid is the only deck that is worth playing Nemon in. You have Koji and Tommy as inherited tamers that you can use the Nemon on play to play the Koji or the Tommy, which is making this card's memory value 6. And you're only paying 3 because you're getting the 3, you're getting the body, and you're getting the tamer. And this card is also great because you can really just not care once you start swinging into security. So you Digivolve that tamer into a hybrid, start swinging, and even if it hits something that it dies to, you're just getting that tamer back, just getting that value all over again. So excellent card. You just have so many hits off of it in this deck, so I think it's worth playing in Blue Hybrid, but only at 2, because we don't want to see it too often when we don't have the tamer in our hand. Then 1 Madoki Betamon. I thought there was going to be a side deck going into this format, so I had Madoki Betamon and the Shakomons in the side deck, but there wasn't, so I just decided to play the 1 Madoki Betamon. It's just a great floodgate Digimon. I think he's better in more matchups than the Shakomon, just because there's a lot of just random memory game effects that all sorts of different decks have, so just 1 Madoki Betamon. And that's it for the level 3s. So going on to the level 4s, we have the Korikakumon as a 4 of. Korikakumon, mandatory 4 of. It is one of the heart and souls of this deck. On Digivolution, if it has a hybrid or a Tommy in its traits, you can stun an opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution sources. So this card is really just how you're going to start getting that advantage in the game. Stunning your opponent's Digimon, setting up your board. This card is going to do it all for you, especially if you have the Tommy, because that's 2 stuns on your turn once you attack with it. So just a great card in general. Definitely a 4 that you want to play. Then we are playing 4 Kumamon. Kumamon being our 2-cost champion that is going to delete the bottom Digivolution source on Digivolution of one of your opponent's Digimon. So great card also for stripping those sources off, which we definitely need to. And then you can Digivolve the Korikaku on top of it for 1 cost. So just paying 3 costs for that source strip and the stun, especially if you have a Tommy under it. Just all around great card. The fact that it's only 2 can help you conserve memory as well. So definitely a great card. Definitely want to be running at 4. Then we are playing 1 Kendo Garurumon from BT7 and 1 BT4 Kendo Garurumon. This Kendo Garurumon is great because it has the jamming effect to swing, and you don't really have to worry if it's gonna die. This card is great because it helps you get those annoying cards like Bokomon off the field to prevent your opponent from just gaining massive amounts of free memory from the Bokomon, and also just getting off those rookies from the field. So just a great card in general. Definitely worth just playing 1 of because it's so easily searchable, as well as the Kendo Garurumon, because these aren't our main win condition. Then we are playing for the level 5s, 3 BT7 Beowulfmon and 1 BT4 Beowulfmon. I decided to go with this ratio because I don't really want to run into too many level 5s because they tend to brick your hands. In fact, the game I lost was because I drew my opening hand and I drew all 3 Beowulfmon in my opening hand, and it was terrible. I could not do anything. This deck does not like having high Digimon in its hand, and you really just don't want to play a lot of 5s. So these are the only 5s we are playing in the deck. Why 3 and 1? This Beowulfmon is great. It helps get rid of threats, and it combos off with the Koji. This Beowulfmon is actually underrated in my opinion. Not only does it have jamming, but its second effect to where it cannot be attacked if it has a hybrid in its source is very underrated. So you can swing into something with your level 4. If it survives, Digivolve on top of it with this, and then you just have it safe to maybe go into a Magna Guru play or just keep swinging with jamming afterwards. Your opponent has to use something else besides just trying to run over it to deal with this. Great sticky card that your opponent has to answer, or it's just going to keep attacking into their source, into their security. So definitely worth a play, even though I don't see a lot of people on it. This card works out very well, in my opinion. Next, we are playing 3 Magna Garurumon, going into our level 6s. I only run 3 Magna Garurumon. I don't want to run 4. I think it's way too bricky at 4. It's a great card. It helps. Once this card hits the board, your opponent just has to find a way to deal with it because it's going to start bouncing your opponent's card. It's going to start attacking for a lot of security, and it's just a very big threat. A very big threat indeed. So great card. You don't want to just run 1 or 2 because I feel like having 2 in your hand and then using the Koji to Digivolve onto it, you can actually put another level 6 underneath the sources so you can bounce the level 6 that your opponent has. So I kind of want to see 2 sometimes, so we're playing it at 3. Definitely not a 4 though. And then 1 Hexablaumon. I decided to go with Hexablaumon because this deck has a lot of ways to strip sources, and if your opponent can't attack at all because Hexablau is on the field, then you're winning the game next turn usually. It's just a very great card, and your deck is actively supporting it and actively taking advantage of its effect to where your opponent's Digimon with no sources can't attack. So a very excellent level 6. I like it better than the Azulongmon. I've tried both of them, but in testing I just found that Hexablaumon, especially for the 3 cost, is just much more effective than a Azulongmon. It's a lot better of a card. So moving on to Tamers, we are playing 2 Davis, 2 Sora Joe, 4 Tommy, and 3 Koji. So Reason for these ratios, we are playing the Digimon, so we really want to play more copies of the inherited hybrids to help get that advantage. And our level 4s just combo so well off of the inherited hybrid tamers. We really just want to be seeing them more often. Davis, great card. It's your security tamer, and it helps your searches. Sora Joe is also excellent. Definitely a 2 of. It actively helps your win condition by trashing sources, and then it's going to give you 2 memory. So just all around great card. I was not disappointed with my tamer lineup. I saw tamers every game, and I never just was not seeing anything. So actively helping the win condition there. So I wouldn't really change anything about the tamers I played. I see some people starting to cut Koji out completely. In this build with Digimon, I think that's a mistake. But if you're not playing the Digimon, maybe. I just feel like you would need to up the Davis and the Sora Joe. Moving on to option cards, we're playing 2 Hammer Spark. Just a great card to help you get that 1 extra memory that you might need. If your opponent leaves you at 2, just get that 3 to help you go into things like Pokemon or Inherited Tamer. Just a great card, only running at 2, and it has a good security effect that can also stop your opponent. 1 Ice Wall. It's only at 1, so we're only playing 1, but it's a great card. I didn't see it all tournament, but it's just a nice card to have. It's got a good security effect as well, but you don't tend to rely on this card as much because it is only a 1 of, but it is a very powerful option card when you do have it. So definitely want to play at least 1. 1 Howling Memory Boost. This is a great card to help you strip your opponent's sources and get you that extra stun. So if you're going Tommy into Korikaku with Howling Memory Boost, you're stunning 3 of your opponent's Digimon in the same turn. Just all around great play. And it strips 2 sources off your opponent, which can very much make a lot of difference, especially in this deck against stuff like Red Hybrid. So, and then some extra spice. We're playing 2 Aqua Viper. Now, Aqua Viper is a card that says return 1 of your Digimon to its owner's hand, then return 2 of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to their hands, and then trash all their Digivolution sources. Great card, and I think it's very underrated in this deck, and let me tell you why. You really want to actively be stunning in this deck. So if your opponent has a large board that you can't stun everything out of, so you could potentially Digivolve into a Tommy, go into a Korikaku, stun, attack, stun with the Tommy, and then you can go ahead and use Aqua Viper to return that Korikakumon to the hand, and then return 2 of your other opponent's Digimon to your hand. So if your opponent had 4 Digimon on the board, and you stunned 2 of them, and then returned 2 of them, you've just completely decimated your opponent and taken the tempo back. And you get to recycle that Korikakumon the next turn to go for another stun. It's amazing in this deck, and I very feel like it's underrated. When this came up, it came up very well, especially in the mirror match, because your opponent is not tending to sit on large stacks of high-level Digimon. Very great card, very underrated card, so I highly recommend you try it out in your deck as well. So my matchups with this deck, in the format where round 1 I faced D Brigade and I beat him 2-0, my deck completely just outstuns the D Brigade deck. He put up a bunch of blockers, but usually stuff like Mechanorimon my deck just doesn't care about because you're hard playing it from hand or it only has 1 source underneath it. It's very easy to stun that out and very, very easy to stop the Seals Dramon and things like that. So honestly, I just out-tempoed him there. D Brigade has a very tough matchup against a Blue Hybrid. Round 2 was the mirror match, and honestly, things like the Hexablaumon made a very big difference in that because we were stripping each other's sources and stunning each other, but once I started playing the Hexablaumon, he had to deal with it and give me a ton of memory to deal with it, which I didn't really care in that situation. Because now I had the memory to be able to make my play, and I killed him the next turn. So in dealing with that Hexablaumon, I actually got what I wanted, and I got the win off of that. So things like Hexablaumon and Aqua Viper really helped me out in that game as well. I won that 2-0. Round 3 was against Red Hybrid, and this was my loss. Really just the first game was the brick. My opening hand was 3 Beowulfmon, a Magna Garurumon, and a Tommy. And my draw for turn was another Magna Garurumon. So I just had to end up hard playing the Beowulfmon. I gave him 7 memory. I was going first, and he drew a Bokomon for turn, and he just popped off from there. It just was not my round. The second game, I had a better hand, but what I was drawing into just was not helping me. And eventually he just got the OTK off, and I was not seeing my level 4s to make the game a stun game in my advantage. So very disappointing that matchup, but sometimes that happens. It's a card game, and we were not playing with the mulligan or the side deck rule, which I definitely would have mulliganed both games if I was able to, and it probably could have turned out differently, but that's a card game, and that's the way these things go. So my fourth match in the final round, I was playing against Green Hybrid, and kind of the same story. I was getting the Tommies out on the field to strip things like his JP sources and all of his Mega Kabuterimons. It was a pure Green Hybrid. It wasn't Christmas Green Hybrid, but I was just able to out-advantage him by stunning all of his Digimon, leaving them with no sources. My deck was just firing off on all cylinders there, and I won that one 2-0 as well. So all in all, a very good tournament, and I wouldn't change anything about this deck. It performed very well and performed to my expectations. I really was just seeing what I needed at the right time. My wins felt like very confident wins. They weren't shaky in the slightest. And my losses were, I mean, you sometimes just got to accept the brick. So great deck overall. I think this is one of the best decks of the format. So that's all I have for today. Y'all have a good day.